Hi, my dear students. How are you doing? Welcome to today's session. So, in today's class, we are going to learn about subject verb agreement. It is a very crucial concept and it is practically tested in all the competitive exams. So, the agenda would be to help you learn the fundamentals of nouns and verbs before we move to the subject verb agreement. Then, we are going to learn some crucial rules which you should know in order to solve the questions. After knowing the rules, we will take a look at some of the examples so that you get fundamental clarity. And post that, we are going to pick an exercise so that we can apply the rules that we have learned in the session. So let's get started. The first important thing that you need to learn is to understand what is a noun. So, noun is a name of a person, place, animal, or a thing. You must be wondering that if it is a class on subject verb agreement, why are we learning nouns? Because knowing nouns and verbs will help you create a foundation for subject verb agreement. So, what is a noun? Noun is the name of a person, place, animal, or a thing. Now, usually, whenever we talk about the subject is a doer of any sentence. Say we are talking about Ram is an actor. So, who is an actor? Ram. Now, Ram is actually a noun. So, usually, the subject of the sentence is either a noun or it is a pronoun. Say, for instance, I give you this example that he is an actor. So, who is an actor? He. So, he is a pronoun. So that is the reason we need to know what is a noun. Now you don't need to get into the classifications because that's where you will be unnecessarily wasting a lot of your time. It is very important for us to stick to the concept and learn only those rules which will help us solve the questions. Our focus and aim should be clear, which is to essentially solve the questions in the exams. Our goal is not to become a grammar expert, right? So please be clear with the expectation. Then only you will be able to learn and discern that what is important for you and what all rules are going to help you in solving the questions. So I'm sure we are clear with the definition of noun. Now let's pick some examples so that you're able to understand that how it works. So Jaipur is called the pink city of India. So in this case, Jaipur remains to be the subject. Now, if you say Juhi is a trainer, in this case, Juhi is the subject and Juhi is also a noun. Trainer is also a noun. But when we talk about the subject, Juhi remains to be the subject. Now, cricket is my favorite sport. So, what is my favorite sport? Cricket. In that case, cricket remains to be the subject of the sentence. Also, cricket is a noun. Dog is a loyal animal. So dog remains to be the subject of the sentence. Dog is also the noun. So I'm sure you are able to see the usage in all these sentences where we are using a noun as the subject of the sentence. So in the first example that you have considered, Jaipur is basically the subject and it is of course the noun. Second, Juhi is the subject and the noun. Cricket is the subject as well as the noun. And in the last one, dog is the subject as well as the noun. So I hope you are clear with this particular part. Let's proceed further. Now, noun can also be the receiver of the action. So when we talk about receiver of the action, something which receives the task done by the subject. Let's consider some examples. So pick the first example. John met Amit in Delhi. So what is the subject? John is the subject and Amit is the object. Amit is again the noun, but John is meeting Amit. So Amit is receiving the action. So Amit acts as the object of the statement. I hope we are clear with the example. Let's consider one more example. Christopher is an entertainer. So Christopher is the subject and entertainer is another noun which is receiving the action in the sentence, hence becomes the object. I hope we are clear with the second usage of the noun where nouns can also act as an object. Now, coming to the third part, nouns can also be a part of prepositional phrase. Now, this is another interesting term that has come up, but it's very easy. So, let's understand prepositional phrase before we actually dig into the point. So, prepositional phrase means A set of words that begin with the preposition. In the meeting, so in is the preposition, in the meeting becomes a prepositional phrase. If I say among the friends, so among the friends, among is the preposition, so among the friends becomes a prepositional phrase. Now say with all the friends, so with is a preposition, so with all friends becomes a prepositional phrase, right? On the tree, so on the tree begins with the preposition on, so it becomes a prepositional phrase. I hope now it is clear that what is the prepositional phrase. So now let's come to the part where a noun can also be a part of the prepositional phrase. Let's see how. So consider this example. The war between the nations ended. So if you will see between the nations, so between is basically a prepositional phrase. Now when we talk about between the nations, nations remains to be the noun. So a noun can also be a part of the prepositional phrase. Let's take one more example. I met my friend in the metro. So in the metro is the prepositional phrase. Metro is a noun in the prepositional phrase. So I hope we are clear with the usage. Let's proceed further. Next part is that when we discuss about nouns, it is also very important to learn that nouns can be classified as countable or non-countable nouns. What are countable nouns? Something that you can count. Say, for example, you can count a pen, you can count a chair or a table or dog or cat or rubbers or bananas or boxes or tiffins, right? So this is countable. Something that you cannot count would be coffee. So you can say I have 1 cup of coffee or I have 2 cups of coffee. But you can't say 1 coffee, 2 coffee, right? Or similarly, you talk about oil or you talk about honey or you talk about milk or you talk about blood. These are non-countable. Why are we learning this? Because this would be a very important concept when we do subject-verb agreement. Usually, the nouns which are countable, right, can take plural verbs. I'll give you one example. So when I say chair is kept in the room. So chair is the subject which is singular. So the verb we are using is which is singular. Right. Now if I make another statement, chairs are kept in the room. So chairs plural are plural. However, when we talk about non-count nouns, right? So if I say you have a cup in which the coffee is just half the cup. So you're going to make a statement, coffee is in the cup, right? But even if the cup is entirely filled with coffee, again you're going to make a statement like this, coffee is in the cup, right? So you can't count coffee. So the noun is considered singular and hence the verb is going to be singular. Very important. I hope you are clear, right? So let's move to the next part. Now, once we have learned nouns, it is important for us to understand that what are verbs, because we have now related that our subject comes from a noun or a pronoun, and the next part in the terminology verb. Subject we know, now verb let's try and understand, and then we would move to subject verb agreement. So let's learn what is a verb. So verb is basically any action that is demonstrated in the sentence. There cannot be any sentence in English which doesn't have a verb in it, right? Can you think of any sentence? No. In fact, just having one verb is equivalent to a sentence. Like I say, drink. So in that case, of course, it is not giving me the entire meaning, but still some idea is communicated, right? So in any sentence you pick of English, verb is definitely an important part and essential part. So it tells you about the action that is happening, right? Now, what is the difference between verb and tense? Tense tells you about the time of action and verbs tells you about the action. So if I say Juhi is teaching in the class, so with the help of teach, you will be able to understand that the action that is happening is of teaching. And is teaching, there we are using present continuous, will help you understand that the action is happening at the time of speaking. So the time tenses help and about the action verb helps. So I hope we are clear. Now, proceeding ahead, let's pick some examples and try to identify that what is the verb in the sentences. Let's pick one example. Mary likes chocolate cake. So Mary is the subject and likes is the verb. So what is she doing? She's liking the chocolate cake, right? So the action is likes. Now take the next example. They play soccer. So you need to understand that they is the subject and play is the action that's happening. So play is the verb. Take a look at the next statement. Martha has been talking to her new friend. So consider this phrase has been talking, right? So talk is the action and has been talking is the entire phrase. Verb phrases tells you about the tenses. So that tells you about the actions. We will discuss tenses in detail later. Come to the next. Terry is visiting his aunt today. So is visiting is the entire verb phrase. Verb phrase means group of words that begin with the verb, like prepositional phrase, group of words that begin with the preposition, right? So is visiting in this case would be the verb. So I hope you are clear with the nouns and I hope you are clear with the verbs. So once you have essential understanding of what is a subject, what is a verb, let's move to the most interesting part of the class where we are going to learn about subject verb agreement, right? So let's get started. Now, this is something which is exceptionally crucial. Again, I am telling you, it is a fundamental concept and it is usually tested in the exam. So let's try and understand that what do we mean by subject verb agreement and how the rules work. So my dear students, the first important thing that you need to understand is that if your subject is singular, the verb is going to be singular, and if the subject is plural, then the verb is going to be plural. Let's see how. First, let's understand what is a singular subject. So in singular subject, like I said, teacher, player, dancer, cook, chef, driver, coffee, blood, oil, milk, all this would be considered singular, right? So if the subject is singular, then the verb is going to be singular in nature. Let's take a look at this example. The professional demonstrates the idea well. So you can also use teacher demonstrates the idea well. You can say Sakshi demonstrates the idea well. You can say Gaurav demonstrates the idea well. You can say he demonstrates the idea well. You can say she demonstrates the idea well. If we talk about the second sentence, when we say if the subject is plural, the verb is also going to be plural, right? So professionals demonstrate the idea well. Now there is some confusion that happens usually that students think that a verb with S is plural. No, my dear students, please understand the verb ending with S is singular. Please keep this in mind. Don't just unnecessarily, go by the regular convention where we say the words that end with S are plural. That happens only with the nouns. Verbs that end with S are usually singular. Okay. So please mark this and don't make this mistake. So when we come to the second example, professionals demonstrate the idea well. You can say teachers demonstrate the idea well. You can say players demonstrate the idea well. You can say we demonstrate the idea well. You can say they demonstrate the idea well. So the bottom line is if the subject is singular, the verb is going to be singular, and if the subject is plural, the verb is going to be plural, right? I hope we are sorted with this. Quickly let me know if you have any doubts, right? So let's move ahead. The next important rule, which is very important, right? So you will find a number of questions coming from subject verb agreement derived from this rule. So let's quickly understand this. So what happens is, in order to create some sort of a confusion, what is usually done is that the subject is separated with the verb with the help of a prepositional phrase. So what is the prepositional phrase? We already discussed group of words that begin with the preposition. So what am I trying to say? Let's quickly learn by this example. So the first sentence that you can see on the screen that states the danger with many products is that they harm children. Now what is the subject? Danger. I'm sure you are able to guess this. Now what is the prepositional phrase? With many products. So I'm sure everybody is able to see this. So now what did we learn? That the singular subject should have a singular verb. So the singular subject is danger, verb is singular is. So that means the sentence is correct. What do students do? They make this mistake that instead of agreeing the subject with the verb, they make the verb agree with the noun present in the prepositional phrase. I'll make you understand. So, if you read the sentence like this, the danger with many products are that they harm children. So, products, if you see, that's plural. And if you will see are, that's also plural. So, that's where the confusion lies. That's what we are not going to do. Products is a part of prepositional phrase and is not the subject. Subject has to be agreed with the verb, not the noun present in the prepositional phrase, right? So you have to always look for the subject in the statement. So what is the major mistake students make here is that they make the verb agree with the noun present in the prepositional phrase, but that's not the subject. The subject in the sentence is danger, so the verb should agree with danger. I hope it is clear now. Let's take one more example. Several polls on this particular problem have been taken. So in this case, what is the subject? Polls, which is plural. What is the verb? Have. So in between, you have a prepositional phrase on this particular problem. Problem is singular. Now, if you will try and here, that's what we usually do. With problem, has will also sound correct. But that's the mistake we are not going to make. We are going to ensure that our subject is plural. Hence, our verb should be plural and verb should not get affected by the noun in the prepositional phrase, right? Let's take one more example. The war between the opposing forces has caused many people to flee the city. So what is the subject? War. What is the prepositional phrase? Between the opposing forces. That should not impact our choice for verb because the subject, the war is singular and the verb has a singular. So there should be perfect accord here. Very crucial rule. I hope it is clear to you. Let's move ahead. Now, at times what happens is that we have a subject which is singular in nature combined with the verb by using a prepositional phrase. So how does this work? Let's try and understand. Now take the statement Angelina Jolie and we are combining it with Brad Pitt. So whenever we use these four phrases, you can please note them down: accompanied by, along with, together with, as well as. It's not going to impact our verb. Let's see how. Angelina Jolie, together with her husband Brad Pitt, is arriving to the party. I know this is really confusing, but what do we do? Grammar, we have to respect, we have to pay our due diligence to the rules, right? So, ideally, there are two people, but still, we are going to use the verb which is singular. So, only in the case when you have these four phrases accompanied by, along with, as well as, together with. So if I make a statement like this, Angelina Jolie along with her husband Brad Pitt, then also we are going to say is arriving to the party. If I say Angelina Jolie as well as her husband Brad Pitt is arriving to the party, right? But if we just simply combine them using and, like I say, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt are arriving to the fundraiser. So in this case, we're simply combining two singular nouns with the help of conjunction and. So the verb is going to be plural. The exception is going to be for these four phrases. So whenever there is an exception, there's a high possibility that the question will be created because your awareness on the exceptions is usually tested in the competitive exams. So this is something which is very crucial. So please note it down somewhere that whenever you are combining two singular nouns using these four phrases, accompanied with, along with, together with, as well as, the verb is going to be singular in nature. Okay, so please do revise. The example is interesting. I am sure Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt would be your favorite Hollywood star, so it's relatable. Please keep this example in mind. That will help you connect better with the rule. Okay, so let's move to the next rule. Now, this is a simple rule. There is no rocket science here. If you're combining any two singular entities with the help of and, the verb is going to be plural in nature. Very simple, because now if I say the cow and the pig, so we are talking about two. The nature is plural, so the verb is going to be plural. Tina and Rahul are coming tomorrow. So Tina and Rahul, now the subject becomes plural, so the verb is going to be plural. So any two subjects, if you are joining by and, you are making it plural, and hence the verb is going to be plural. I'm sure this rule you're not going to forget. This is easy to remember and there is no effort here. And usually if there is no effort, there is not a high possibility of being tested in the exam. right? So let's move ahead to the next rule. The next rule says that whenever we are combining two entities, please be careful. Whenever we are combining two entities by using and, but the idea covered is one, the idea conveyed is one, then you use a singular verb. This is slightly confusing. Now let's learn some examples. Red beans and rice is my mom's favorite dish. So please see this, red beans and rice. So this is conveying one idea, right? So if the idea is one, it is considered singular and hence the verb is going to be singular. Let's take one more example. Bread and butter is a complete breakfast. So please see, bread and butter conveys one idea, right? So you are going to take the verb to be singular. Let's take one more example. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm sure you must have heard of this phrase, but we never thought that slow and steady. Then why are we using a singular verb? Remember, I told you verbs that end with s are singular, right? So because the idea conveyed is one. So please keep this in mind when we are connecting two singular verbs, but the idea conveyed is one, right? Then the verb is going to be singular in nature. Please take care of this. There's a good possibility that you might get one question from this rule. Let's proceed further. Now, whenever we are combining two singular nouns or singular subjects with or, nor, neither nor, either or, not only but also. Let me repeat, or, nor, neither nor, either or, not only but also. The verb is singular. Okay, so this is again very crucial and there are a lot of variations to this rule and we are going to gradually explore all the variations, but let's start with this. I'm again repeating, of course we'll make some examples also to elaborate the rule. Whenever you are combining two singular subjects using or, neither nor, either or, not only but also, and nor, the verb is going to be singular in nature. Let's see how. Jessica or Christian is to be blamed for the accident. So Jessica is singular, Christian is singular. So we are combining both these singular subjects using or. So the verb is going to be singular, which is in this case. Okay. Let's come to the next one. Neither John nor Rachel came. So you're combining John and Rachel. Both of them are singular, right? How are we combining? With neither nor. So the verb is singular. Take one more example. Either Sunny or his wife was there in the party. So Sunny, wife, two terms, but we are combining with either or. So the verb is going to be singular and hence we have used was, which is a singular verb. Verb is plural. I'm sure you know this. So I hope we are clear with this particular rule. Simple rule. Whenever you are combining two singular subjects using or, nor, neither nor, either or, not only but also, the verb is singular. Like I told you, there are a lot of variations to this. So let's learn and explore those variations. Now, say for instance, you're combining plural terms with the same, terms, or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, not only, but also. The verb is plural. This is simple. This is easy to connect. If you're combining two singular subjects using or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, not only, but also, the verb is singular. If you're combining two plural subjects using or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, not only, but also, then in that case the verb is going to be plural. So this is not very difficult. This is relatable, right? So dogs and cats are both available at the pond. Neither apples nor bananas are in the kitchen. Not only ladies but also men were eager to join community services. So all these examples, first example, dogs and cats, both plural, combined, the verb is plural. Neither nor, again the verb is plural. Not only but also, the verb is plural, right? So I hope you have sorted with this rule. Very simple. This should not require a lot of effort to learn. Let's proceed to the next version of this. Now we have seen a situation where both the subjects are either only singular or are either only plural. What about if one subject is plural and one is singular? Then what are we going to do? This is crucial, my dear students. Very frequently tested, very important from exam point of view. So please do pay attention here. Take a look at the first part. First sentence. Either the bears or the lion has escaped from the zoo. So what are we combining? We are combining bears, right, which is plural, and we are combining lion, which is singular. And we are combining it with either or, right? So if one term is plural, like in this case, bears is plural, one term is singular, like lion is singular, the verb is decided in accordance with the subject which is near to the verb. Let me explain. See, we have two subjects, bears, which is plural, lion is singular. Verb is has, which is near to the verb lion. So the verb is going to be singular. Take a look at the next sentence. Neither the lion nor the bears have escaped from the zoo. Lion is singular, bears is plural, but we have changed the position. Verb, see, what is the verb, noun or the subject which is near the verb, which is bears. Bears is plural, so the verb is plural. So the point is this, that whenever we are combining one singular and one plural term, then verb is decided in accordance with the subject which is near to the verb. If the subject near to the verb is singular, then the verb is going to be singular, like the first example. If the subject near to the verb is plural, then the verb is going to be plural. Okay, so take this important note, very crucial from exams point of view, because there is a very important concept of parallel structure also checked there, which we learn later, right? So come to the next rule. So let's learn a lot of examples here, a lot of rule implementation, so that you become acquainted to it. Take a look at the third sentence. Not only Susie, but also her friend is coming to the dinner. So that's a previous rule. Now I'll slightly change the sentence. Not only Susie, but also her friends are coming to the dinner. So verb is are. What is near to the verb? Friends. Friends is plural. So we are picking are, which is a plural verb, right? So I hope we are clear with the examples. Please do remember or, nor, neither, nor, either, or, not only, but also. So I have talked about all the possible variations. One, when both the subjects are singular, then the verb is going to be singular. When both the subjects are plural, then the verb is going to be plural. What happens if one is singular, one subject is singular and one is plural? Then we govern the verb by the nearness of the subject. So whichever subject is near to the verb. If the nature of that particular subject is plural, the verb is going to be plural. And if the nature of that subject is singular, then the verb is going to be singular. So I hope we are sorted. This is a very important rule. Whenever you are making notes, please do highlight it and don't forget to revise this rule before you set to practice. Okay, so let's move ahead. Now, there is a very interesting term which is called gerunds. You must be wondering what is this term gerund that has come, but it is very important, right? So, nothing to worry as such. You're sitting in the grammar class, you tend to learn some new terminology. Then only you will be able to add value to your existing knowledge, right? So, this is a very interesting concept, let me tell you. So, take a look at the sentence I am speaking to you. I am teaching in the class. So, I is the subject, right? And teaching is the verb, right? So, what is the action happening? I am teaching you. So, what is the verb? Teach, right? I'm sure everybody is okay with the example. I will change the sentence. I will make the sentence like this. Teaching is my profession. So what is my profession? Teaching. Now what is the verb? Is. So subject is teaching. So teaching in the previous example was the verb, but in this case it is the subject. Precisely this is the gerund. When verb first form plus ing acts as a subject or an object or acts as a noun, we call it a gerund, right? So lot of interesting examples. Dancing is my hobby. Dancing is. So gerund is dancing. So with gerunds, the verb is singular. Dancing is my hobby. Smoking is injurious to health. Trekking is an adventurous sport. Cooking is fun. Playing guitar is my favorite pastime. Watching movie is an interesting thing to do, right? So all these cases we have gerunds and the verb is singular, right? We have been seeing these examples, but we never thought of it as a gerund while making the sentences. So verb first form plus ing when doesn't act as a verb but acts as a noun, then you call it gerund. And usually when it is a subject, then the verb is singular. Simple, isn't it? Let's take a look at some examples. Standing in the water was a bad idea. So standing in the water, if you'll see, the standing is the subject or the gerund here, and was is a singular verb with it. Let's take another example. Smoking is injurious to health. So smoking is the subject, then the verb is which is singular, right? And smoking is a gerund, of course. Trekking is an adventurous sport. So if you will see trekking, in this case, trekking remains to be what is the subject, which is also a gerund. The verb is, right? Come to the next statement. Cooking is fun. So cooking is the gerund and the verb is which is singular in nature. Dancing is my hobby. Again, dancing is the subject, which is a gerund, and is the verb here. I hope we are clear with this, right? So please keep this in mind that whenever verb first form plus ing that we call gerund acts as a subject or as a noun in the sentence, then the verb is singular in nature. Okay, so let's move ahead. This is another interesting rule. So when we talk about collective nouns, what are collective nouns that represent a group, right? So army, band, orchestra, crowd, jury, right? So all these are collective nouns that represent a group. So now it's just one group. So whenever we are talking about a singular group, then the verb is singular, right? Herd is stampeding, right? So herd is a group of people, right? Army is marching at the border. Crowd is getting ruthless. Jury has given the decision. So whenever we talk about collective nouns, the verb is going to be singular. And what are collective nouns? Nouns that represent a group. I hope we are clear with it. We call it Samuhvachak Sankhya in Hindi, right? So that's representing a group. When you're talking about a single group, then it is just one entity, right? So if it is one entity, if it is a singular entity, then the verb is going to be singular in nature, right? Simple rule. Let's move ahead. This is crucial, my dear students, and you have to definitely pay attention here. So there are few nouns which are considered plural. And what are those nouns? I made a list for you to make life easy. Binoculars, goggles, eyeglasses, jeans, pants, pliers, scissors, tongs, tweezers, trousers, shorts, slacks. We have to always consider them to be plural, right? Might be new to you because we usually make a mistake. Like I will wrong in incorrect way say my jeans is kept in the drawer. This is an incorrect statement. My jeans is kept in the drawer is wrong, right? Don't make this mistake. This is frequently tested in students because that's how we learn, right? So we have never thought of it, never learned that jeans is a plural term. We say my jeans are kept in the drawer. This is the right statement. Please note this. Right now I have done a slight twist here. You can see my first sentence which says my favorite jeans are in the washer. This is correct, right? And I think you can visualize which goes into, right? So scissors or trousers or shoes or socks, I think you can create an image, right? So we consider them to be plural. Now I've made an alternate statement here. I said this pair of jeans needs to be washed. Now, needs is a singular verb. So, why did we do this? Because before jeans, we have added this pair. So, pair means, one set, right? So, pair, whenever, now there's one pair of jeans, right? So, pair is one, but jeans are is a plural term. So, this pair of jeans needs to be washed. So, if you're putting a term, a phrase pair before it, then the verb goes singular. Otherwise, you will say binoculars are kept on the table, goggles are kept in the drawer, eyeglasses are needed now because of poor vision, jeans are at with the washer, pants are to be ironed, pliers are needed by the mason, scissors are kept in the kitchen's drawer, shorts are needed to be worn for the PT. uh, trousers are required to be stitched, tongs are needed to make chapatis, tweezers are with the friend, right? So this is how I've made basically statements for all these terms. And one thing, if you could see, with all the statements that I've made, I've considered them to be plural in nature, and hence the verb that has been taken is also plural. So you need to put some effort where you are going to learn these words. And if you can imagine, that would be great. If you can just create a picture in your mind, then cramming would go away. I always suggest my students that if you will try to understand grammar with a logical point of view, you'll find it that you're more receptive towards it. The moment you start cramming of it, then it becomes a burden on you and you keep struggling, and that helps you move away and you lose your interest. So that's what we wouldn't want. We would always want that if we learn with logic, because understand this, that ultimately any exam, any competitive exam that you're giving is testing you on logic, right? So logic either can be derived through words or it can be derived through numbers. So if we are learning grammar and we're learning the rules, also there is logic behind it, right? So most of the rules are governed by logic. So try and learn the logic, try to associate, try to create some mental picture, try to retain some examples so that your momentum continues and you find grammar interesting. The day you start finding grammar interesting is where you'll start getting the questions right, right? So on this beautiful note, let's proceed further. Now, this is another rule. Because we said that pronouns can also act as a subject in the statement, this is very important for you to understand that the pronouns that end with body, one, or thing are singular. What are we talking about? Let's see. So, everybody, anybody, somebody, anyone, someone, everyone, anything, something, everything. These are the pronouns which are considered singular. Okay, let's take some examples. Somebody is coming to meet us. Somebody is singular. You're going to use the verb is. Okay. Nobody is willing to leave the part. So nobody के साथ what have we put? Is. Nothing is impossible. Someone has to take the initiative. Right? So with all these terms, all the pronouns list I've already given. Everybody, somebody, anybody, someone, no one, nothing, anything. All these are considered to be singular. And if these pronouns are considered to be singular, then the verb that is going to accompany would be singular in nature. Okay, so you can make a list if you are, penning down the notes somewhere. Anybody, somebody, nobody, someone, somebody, right? Anything, nothing, something, right? So that's how you put a list. And all these pronouns are considered singular, and hence the verb is going to be singular. Keep on revising the rules, keep on learning the rules. You can make some flashcards, you can solve the questions there and then so that the momentum continues and you don't forget, right? So let's proceed. Now it's time to solve some questions, right? So whenever we learn grammar, it is always important to solve the questions there and then. Why? Because then you become acquainted with the concept, you're able to learn the application, and once you're able to solve the questions correctly, there are two things that can happen, right? One, you're not able to answer the question, no problem, we can revise the rule. Second is you're able to get to the right answer. In that case, you'll get the confidence which is actually needed to crack the competitive exams. So I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this. So let's get started. Take a quick look at all the sentences and think of the answer before we start with the discussion. So I'll give you a minute. Please take a look at all the sentences. What you're supposed to do is that there are two options. That means there are two types of verbs provided in the bracket, and you need to choose the right verb in accordance with the subject that's there in the sentence. So let's get started, everybody. Please do that. I'll just stay quiet for a while, quickly see all the statements and reach to your own answers, and then we will begin with the discussion. All the statements that you are seeing on the screen are the questions that are based on the learnings from today's session. So it would be a quick revision also for you. So please start doing it. Read it carefully, think of the rules, right? Be very careful while you're picking up the answer. See what are the exceptions that we learned. This is very, very important. Just don't do it for the sake of doing it, right? So this is not your test. This is just to check your skills, right? So this is the sort of a practice exercise. I'm just giving you time to read the sentences and associate with the rules that we have learned so far in today's class. Okay, take a look at the first sentence. Sherry and her brother are at the park. So Sherry is one and her brothers two. So both the subjects are combined with and. So the verb that I'm going to pick will be plural in nature. So what's the verb that I'm going to pick? Are, right? So the correct answer is going to be are. Now let's take a look at the next sentence. Either of my boss or my colleague is or are coming to the meeting, right? So if you remember, I did tell you that whenever you combine two singular entities, so what are the singular entities? Boss is singular and colleague singular. And whenever you combine two singular terms, remember the list? Either or, neither nor, or nor, not only but also. So whenever you're combining two singular elements with either or, neither nor, not only but also, the verb is singular, right? So this is actually the application of that rule. So we are combining boss singular, colleague singular, and we are combining with either or. So the verb is going to be singular. So for second, is going to be the answer. Come to the third one. The horses or the camels are or is outside. So you remember I told you that if one term is singular and one term is plural and you're combining with or, which is this case, nor, neither nor, either or, not only but also, in that case, the verb is going to be decided by the subject which is near to the verb. So there are two subjects here, horse which is singular, camels which is plural. Now to the verb which is near camels. Now camel is singular or plural? Camels plural. So what is the verb that we are going to pick? Plural. Instead, if it had been the statement like this, the camels or the horse, then you are going to say is outside. Okay, because in that case, horse would be near to the verb. So horse is going to decide the nature of the verb. I hope it is clear. So whenever we are combining one singular and one plural entity with or, nor, neither nor, either or, not only but also, then the verb is decided by the subject which is near to the verb. So in the third statement, camels is near to the verb which is plural, hence the verb is also going to be plural. I hope we are clear with the example, with the question. So the correct answer is going to be first statement 3 are. Okay, let's move to the fourth statement. Either my shorts or your umbrella is or are, you need to pick, always on the bed. So we need to see that we are combining shorts, which we just learned is plural, and umbrella is singular. So what are we going to do? We are going to see that which subject is near to the verb. So umbrella is near to the verb. Now is umbrella singular or plural? Umbrella is singular. So what is going to be the verb? Singular. So between is and are, which is singular, is. So is going to be the correct answer, right? Now let's take a look at the fifth statement. James and Terry doesn't or don't want to see the match. So James is singular, Terry is singular. These are two nouns. These are two subjects which are connected by and hence the subject is going to be plural. So the verb is going to be plural. So between doesn't and don't, you need to keep this in mind that don't is plural. If you don't know this, please write it. Don't is plural and doesn't is singular. Since the subject is plural, we are going to go for a plural verb and hence the answer is going to be don't, right? So I hope we are clear with these five statements, right? So let's move to the next set. Again, I would just quickly give you a minute so that you can go through all the statements, gather your answers, associate with the rules learned so far, and then we can start the discussion. So everybody take a look at all these five sentences and think what should be the right answers for each of them. Great, great, wonderful. Please try, please try. At times we just, don't attempt the questions and then the fear increases. The moment you will start attempting the questions, you will see the momentum coming. So always try to practice as much as possible, right? So the better you are going to practice, the more effectiveness you are going to see in your, test preparation. That's a very important suggestion, right? So let's get started. Let's try and discuss these 5 questions which are there on the screen. So let's begin with the first one. Ben, you have to choose between doesn't and don't know how to drive. So, as I said, whenever we are going for a singular subject, we are going to use doesn't, which is a singular verb. And if you're going for a plural subject, we are going to pick don't, which is basically what a plural verb. So Ben does not know how to drive. Why? Because Ben is singular. So for singular subjects, we are going to use doesn't. Right? We call it doesn't or we call it does not, right? So however you are writing or pronouncing. Let's move to the next statement. One of my friends, you have to pick between is and are going on a trip to Switzerland. So out of all the friends, you have one friend who's going, right? So the subject is singular and hence the verb is going to be is. I hope it is clear. You have so many friends. Out of all those friends, one is going, right? So that means we are talking about a singular subject. So if it's a singular subject, then the verb is also going to be singular. So in that case, we are going to say that one of my friends is going on a trip to Switzerland, right? Let's take a look at the next sentence. The man with all the dogs, you have to pick between live or lives on my street. Now, very interesting question, right? Usually students go with live because they consider that you have man and you have dogs, and hence the verb is going to be plural in nature. That's the biggest mistake that you do. Remember, I told you that if there is a prepositional phrase between the subject and the verb, that's not going to make an impact on your choice of the verb. The verb has to be governed by the nature of the subject. So if you take a look at this particular statement, man is the subject, right? Which is singular. And with all the dogs is a prepositional phrase. With is a preposition, right? So the prepositional phrase, the noun which is contained in the prepositional phrase is not going to impact your verb, right? You remember this rule, right? Right, right. Yes, yes. The first rule that we learned. So this is the implementation. So man is singular and hence the verb is going to be singular with all the dogs as a prepositional phrase, and that's not going to impact our choice of the verb. Remember, right? So please do take into account this is usually one rule that creates a lot of confusion. So we need to have the right insight for this particular rule, right? So let's move to the next statement. The movie, including all the advertisements, you have to choose between take or takes. Take is plural and takes is singular. About 2 hours to watch. This is one important thing. Whenever we have any piece of information which is surrounded by commas on both the sides, you will see there's a comma before including and there's a comma after advertisement. So this information is unnecessary, not required. The author can do away with this information. So we usually do not consider any information surrounded by commas on both the sides to decide our choice of verb. So, including all the advertisements, since it is surrounded by commas, this is not going to make any difference in our statement, right? So, the movie takes about 2 hours to watch because movie is singular and hence our choice of verb is going to be singular in nature. So you can pen it down. Any information which is unnecessary is surrounded by commas on both the sides and does not impact our choice of verbs, right? So I hope you're clear with this. This is one application that we have learned through a question, which is a wonderful thing, right? So let's move to the 10th question. Now, the player as well as the captain, you have to pick want or wants to win. So either you can solve with the rule that we have just learned, or you remember the example of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, right? Those rules that we learned, this is actually the implementation. So the players as well as the captain want to win, right? So I hope you are clear with this. Let's move to the next set. So again, you can just solve the questions, look at the statements for a while, and once you are sorted, then we can begin with the discussion. So take into consideration the rules that we have learned. So in a way, you are going to revise the rules also, and you're going to implement the rules also. So please do that. While we are learning, right, when we are learning the concept and then we just solve some questions, please don't be in a rush to, do the questions quickly, because that's the time where we are still learning. Right, it's important to know the rules, then it is important to learn the implementation, then it is important to get the accuracy, and then we work on speed. So please just don't change the order. Usually what happens is the moment we learn some concept, we would want to do the questions quickly. We would not talk about learnings, we will not talk about implementation, but we would just want to finish it. Don't do that, right? The learning should happen in the right way. Efforts in the right direction will give you success. There's so many students who would definitely put a lot of hard work but do not get the success they want. Why? Because maybe your efforts are not going in the right direction, right? So this particular session is for you to learn, it's not to test you. For tests you need to give mock tests, right? You need to give sectional tests, right? But this particular session doesn't have an agenda to test you. Of course you would need some time to revise the rules and learn, and practice some more questions, then only you will get into the momentum. So please just don't expect yourself that right after attending the class you will be able to solve all the questions quickly. It would take some time for you to absorb the information, right? If you're doing it for the first time, please be kind to your own self. If you are too harsh, then again you either get depressed or you lose confidence, and that we wouldn't at all want. The objective of the sessions are always to enhance the caliber of the students, provide more information which can be utilized properly and will empower them. The agenda is never to discourage a student, right? And you should also not get discouraged if that's not the agenda, right? So even if you're making mistakes, identify that what are the rules that you are not able to learn, revise, right? And apply. That's important. I hope I make sense. So let's quickly start the discussion. So either answer, like I said, either answer is singular, so the verb is going to be is, which is singular in nature. So every one of those books is fiction. So this is at times troublesome. You remember I did tell you that pronouns that have body, one, and thing in the end are considered singular, right? I did give you a list: everyone, everybody, someone, somebody, no one, nobody, something, nothing, everything. So here is this one example. So despite everyone looks gives you the impression of a plural thing, it is considered singular, and hence the verb is going to be singular. Important question. This is one common mistake that we do. That is the reason to revise it again. We have incorporated one question. So I hope we are clear with question number 12, everybody. So the correct answer is going to be is. Okay. Now the same rule is applied to question number 13. Nobody knows the trouble I have seen, right? So nobody is considered singular, and hence the verb is going to be singular. So like I told you, the verbs that end with s are considered to be singular in nature, right? So come to 14th, is or are, you need to pick the news on at 5 or 6. So with news it is considered to be singular, and hence the verb is going to be is. Now mathematics is a singular entity, despite it ending with s. So mathematics and civics, you consider them to be singular in nature. So mathematics is John's favorite subject, while civics is Andrea's favorite subject. So for 11th the answer is going to be is. For 12th the answer is going to be is. For 13th the answer is going to be knows. For 14th, the answer is going to be is, and for 15th also, for both the blanks, the answer is going to be is. Right? I hope we are clear. Let's move to the next set. So everybody, please take some time and solve these questions so that we can quickly, reach to the right answers. We can discuss. So take a look and see how does it work. Right? So come to the 16th question. $88, you have to pick between S and R, the price of a movie these days. So when we talk about money, it is usually considered to be singular. Okay. So $8 is the price of a movie these days. Okay. So Twizzlers, I did give you a list of the words that we consider plural. So Twizzlers was one of that word present in the list. Hence the verb is going to be plural. Are the Twizzlers in the store? Right. Let's come to the 18th one. Your pants. So I did tell you pants, scissors, goggles, binoculars, eyeglasses, shorts, socks, all these are considered to be plural. So when you take a look at the 18th statement, your pants are at the cleaners. Okay. Take a look at the 19th one. There you have to pick between was and were. 15 candies in that bag. So 15 candies is a plural term, right? Remember we discussed countable and non-countable. So whenever we have a countable noun, whenever it is plural, the verb is going to be plural. So there were 15 candies in that particular bag. Now there is or are only one left. So if it is countable and you can just have one, then it is singular in nature. So the verb is going to be is. Okay, so there were 15 candies in the bag. Now one is left. So there is just one. One is singular. That is the reason we are using is. And there were 15 candies. So we are using a plural verb. I hope I make sense. Let's move to the next one. The committee debates or debate these questions carefully. So committee is a collective noun and hence our verb is going to be singular in nature. I hope you have sorted. So let's move to the next set. Try this everybody. Please take a minute and take a look at the questions and then we are going to discuss. So it's the implementation of all the rules that we have learned so far, right? So it's very important for you to get the momentum going, keep on revising, keep on practicing, right? The more you're going to practice, the better clarity you're going to develop and you're going to feel more confident, right? So please ensure that you're not lacking anywhere in terms of practice. Yeah, so we can begin. The committee dash very different lives in private. So committee is a collective noun and hence the verb is going to be singular. Let's move to the 22nd question. The Prime Minister, together with his wife, greets or greet the press cordially. Cordially means in a nice way, in a gentle way, in a friendly way. So I did give you this example of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. See, it has appeared again. So Prime Minister together with his wife is going to be a singular verb that's going to be considered. So greets the press cordially. It's the same application whenever you're combining two singular entities with together with as well as accompanied with, the verb is usually singular. We discussed this rule in detail. So the 22nd is the implementation of the same rule. Now let's come to the 23rd part. All of the CDs, even the scratched one. So we are talking about all of the CDs. And then I did tell you that information which is surrounded by commas, that is unnecessary and that's not going to make any impact on our choice of verbs. So all of the CDs are in this case, right? So that brings us to an end of this particular session. So I hope we are clear. The general things that you need to keep in mind, that the subject is decided, whether it's a noun or a pronoun, and the verb is in accordance with the subject. So if your subject is singular, the verb is going to be singular, and if the subject is plural, the verb is going to be plural. So that's the fundamental thing. What is the subject? Who are we talking about? And what is the verb? Action. So tenses are the words that tell you about the type of action, right? So in detail, we have learned so many rules. We have learned the implementation. I hope you really liked the session. I hope you found it useful. So do watch this space for more interesting sessions and more inputs. Please keep working hard. Please be very consistent in your efforts. Don't forget that if you are regular in your endeavors, if you're making efforts in the right direction, success will definitely be yours. All the best. Take good care of yourself. Keep practicing. Bye bye.